Hi, everybody, welcome. Today we are having a conversation on sexual compatibility. Is it something you are born with? Is it something that you develop? Is it something that you need to practice before you get married? How do we develop sexual fluency? And most importantly, where do all our sexual expectations come from, and how do we satisfy that within the context of our marriages? So stay tuned, stay with us. It's going to be quite exciting. And as we go, don't forget to click that subscribe button as quickly as you can, and let's get into it.
All right, welcome back, everybody. So what you can expect from our talk is just, this is a disclaimer, by the way. You can expect raw, unfiltered talk. We're going to call it what it is. We are not going to shy away from naming things what they are, okay? We are all grown-ups here. And
Hopefully.
Hopefully. And we can all take it. So let's get into it.
Absolutely. So, look, this conversation started, my wife and I, we're having this conversation about, the boys, rolling with the boys. We come out of the world. We are Christians, but we're not always there. We were not always in that space. And so there's a lot of conversation about the need to test drive. Men especially, we come from environments where by the time you get into marriage, you should have some experience. You should know what you're doing around the bedroom. And very few people are into the culture of waiting. And so we usually start our relationships. Wire. You're already, you fast. You're good. You know what you're doing. And so the question then is sexual compatibility something we learn, or is it something we must get prior to marriage, or is it something we develop? And this is how men brag. We brag about how many girls we slept with, how good we are, what we're doing well, and all that stuff. And what it does then is it leads us to a place where, especially in our relationships, we like, something is wrong with my wife. You understand? Like, I'm good because remember, I've been with so many partners, and I know what I'm doing in the bedroom. So when I'm there and she can get my engine going, or she doesn't know some styles and stuff, that's when we start comparing, with exes and with all these people. Like, yo, look, I was good with that other chick. We did well. I was doing great. So something has to be wrong with you. And I think that's the first challenge, and maybe where the center of our conversation is today. Yeah. So that's where we are starting. And I think it should start from the question of, where do we learn about sex anyway?
Yeah.
Where do we learn about sex anyway? Before I answer, let me just first throw it to you. Where did you learn? Who taught you about sex?
Okay, first it was my grandma, but it was not good.
Oh my God.
It wasn't a good conversation. Like my gran, like with my cousin and I would visit her during the holidays. She would like, while we are eating food, right? While we're eating food in the living room, she would tell us, you must not have sex, otherwise you will get pregnant or you will get HIV. That was the sex talk.
Okay, so it was don't do it.
Basically, just don't do it.
Was there okay, you can do it then, later, or something, or was it just...
Well, it is. There is you can do it when you're married, but before that, actually, they don't even say married. When you are 21, when we've given you the keys, when you are 21 and we've given you the keys,
then you're good to go.
Girl.
So the 21 key is like a permission, like, yo,
it's
listen,
like,
it's
girl,
that time.
You do you.
Okay. All right.
And then
and outside of the grandma,
outside of my grandma, then there's LO at school, life orientation, where they teach you about gonorrhea. If you have sex, you're gonna get
those
gonorrhea
STIs,
and chlamydia,
STDs and stuff.
all the STIs, and they show you the pictures, and it's just horrible. But those things really didn't work. Those scare tactics, because people got pregnant still in high school, so it wasn't. It was like, oh, come on, guys, what are you trying to do here?
playing with us.
playing games. Then there's friends, when your friends have, and then you're the only one just chilling there, like, oh, okay, well.
Let's talk about it. But it's always great. I don't think friends tell you everything. It's
Oh, no.
It's just it's good.
No, my friends were pretty honest. They were pretty honest.
Really?
Like, yeah. Like, yeah, they were pretty
Is that
honest.
a thing for women? Women, are they more upfront about it, or were they
Women
also?
are,
And wait,
yeah.
what age is this? What age did you have these conversations with your friends?
This is high school.
Okay.
This is high school now.
No, but you have to narrow down.
I don't want to narrow it down.
14, 15.
What if
No,
their
I want to know.
parents-
No. I mean, remember, at the end of the day, what we need to establish is, was their information sound? Was it reliable information or not?
When I finally got into it, their information was reliable.
Okay. All right.
Yes, it was.
Okay.
Because
no, that's fine.
when I did it, it wasn't because my friends were like, yeah, girl, it's the best thing in life. Go ahead. It was because I was just like, oh, but everybody has.
Okay.
To myself, it wasn't
Okay.
like, we were not pressuring each other like that.
Okay.
It was not like that. But for me, it was like, oh, I'm the only one. Then I was like,
Eish.
But it was a big regret. But that's a story for another day.
I think the biggest issue for us, most of us, is that pornography is our core source of sexual knowledge.
Yeah.
Especially for
Creates
men.
Unrealistic.
It is
stuff.
literally, especially for men. And one day I'll share the story. But I was surprisingly introduced to the world of pornography by men who went to church with me. And for me, that was a shocker. I'd never seen anything like that. And I walk in this place and people are like, no, young man, you don't know what's going on. Come, sit there. And they're watching it. Also, in my entire life, I still haven't seen a social club where men sit to watch porn. It's weird for me. It's
Yeah.
still weird for me, but I'll never forget that day. But the problem is, we are learning most of our sexual content, particularly for men, on pornography. It's
Okay.
easy, it's available, it's free. You don't have to have money or a credit card to have access to it. It's just a browser, and if you're not careful, it's ads. It's just that's how deep it is. That we have layers and layers of ad blockers on our browsers just so we can avoid
That stuff.
that stuff. But men are introduced to that world through pornography, and that's a huge challenge. That's actually quite a massive challenge. And I think this is why we are now getting into the kind of problems that we are, even in how we understand sex.
I think you're right. Like the pressure of pornography. I don't know. I'm not really sure if girls are into or were into porn as much as guys.
I think now
but
they are.
I personally didn't care for it myself. I mean, I've seen it once or twice, sure, but like I didn't really. It wasn't like an obsession at any point. But I think that when we do see it, it brings about this performative way of having sex. So you're not doing it because you're enjoying it. You're doing it because you're just copying.
You're performing.
Yeah, you're copying what you see there.
Okay.
Whether it's working or not, like that's irrelevant, And especially when you are growing up, when you are young and impressionable, that you think that that's what boys
It is. That's
or
what's supposed to
men
be
want.
happening.
That's what's supposed to be happening. So I'm gonna do it like this to satisfy that person. And as you've said already, that men think they are experts, and they think, because I've done 5.
Shy.
So I've done 5.
Yeah.
So when I go to this one, she'll also love it. So we are all basically playing games with each other here.
Yeah.
You think you are the best. I let you think you are the best, which is why so many women say, but I just pretend. You know what I mean? But when you go and look at sex with intimacy and having needs met, and that normally comes also with maturity.
Okay.
I believe, because it evolves as time goes by. It's not you get to understand, like for example, when you're married, now you are married to your friend, someone you trust, someone you love, right? And you are able to now communicate, listen, I don't really like this. Can we try it a little differently? Or can we try something a little different? This is not working for me. And I'm sure the first conversation is not so comfortable.
It's not great. It's not great. I'm a witness to that. The first time we had that conversation was actually very difficult. I think because, coming into marriage and having a certain relationship standard, and then years or months later, you discover they actually don't like that thing, and having to create an environment where that conversation is
Can
had
happen.
to say, oh, but wait, why didn't you tell me? So I've been out here thinking, yeah, like,
I'm killing it.
I'm doing this, and she likes that and she doesn't. And then not only that, but because remember, a lot of the stuff in the male culture, especially or generally in the sexual culture of conversation, is wrong. It's wrong. Men believe, weird stuff. I've heard things in my life, where, I mean, even just you are working with contractors. When we were building a house and stuff, you work with contractors who are building the house, and you hear absolute nonsense. She must cry, my brother. If she's not crying, then you're not doing it right. And there's a sense of torture, of punishment. Especially, I think I worry about black women. Black women are being punished.
Are suffering.
They're suffering in these bedrooms there, because I think a lot of the black men were told. Remember that joke? Also, we have a joke, for example, even about the penis enlargement, penis enlargement adverts, because generally the Hollywood thing is it has to be massive, massive. And so there are women who genuinely believe it, the bigger it is, the more enjoyment I get out of it. And I joked to my wife and I said to her, I'm going to go get myself enlarged. And she's like, I don't want to hear that. Because basically, most women don't enjoy that. But again, it's narrative.
Yeah.
It's part of the narrative of what's been communicated, that pleasure is in girth or length, or the more painful it is, the more punishment you receive, and so forth and so forth, which then becomes a problem. And that's why people perform.
Yeah.
Both men and women, right?
Yeah, everybody does. Everybody does. We pretend. You think you are the best. and
the cycle goes on.
And the cycle goes on. But somebody in there is unhappy, which is why I think so many women are dissatisfied with their sex lives, and why so many women are frustrated with their husbands, because it's like, I'm just doing this for you, and we don't have that sense of this is for me as well, and it takes time even to learn that. And some of those things come through, you read certain things and you try to find out more information, or you watch certain shows. Like we've watched a couple of things in our own research. And we are learning a lot. We are learning how to handle things like that. I mean, we even read a book called Sexual Intelligence, and I think in the first chapter, the guy was talking about how it's basically not your partner's responsibility to make you want sex. It's yours, but not just that. You are not doing it for them only. There's also enjoyment in it for you.
For yourself.
Yes, and that's something that we don't know. That's something that women are only now discovering, that, no, wait a minute, I can have fun too here.
This is for me too.
This is for me as well. And
because I think with the Bible as well, there was a problem. Paul says that your body doesn't belong to you. My body doesn't belong to me anymore. And the connotation coming out of that is, oh no, you have no say in enjoyment. Cede your enjoyment to another person. But that's misunderstood, because essentially what's coming across as, and I think this is important, the key component of marriage is that I'm surrendering my personal enjoyment to you, and you do the same to me.
Okay.
I'm entrusting you with it, not necessarily that I will no longer have it anymore and it's all yours. You must just enjoy yourself using my body for your own ends, for your own enjoyment. Rather, it is I am entrusting you with my enjoyment. What I enjoy will be as a result of your doing, you know. And I think that mindset, particularly being taught to women, became make your husband happy,
Yes.
make sure he's satisfied.
Whether you feel like it or you
Don't let him
feel
leave
like
the
it,
house
yeah.
dissatisfied. There was never a hey, you can also genuinely have a thriving, happy sex life.
Yes.
It was more like make a man happy.
Yeah, it's more about them, which is what, like I'm saying, which is why so many women are just so frustrated, you know, at this point in time, because yeah, it's all about you, and that's how duty sex comes in.
Oh,
The duty sex.
oh, I know duty sex. We know duty sex. I think it was quite interesting that you were surprised that I didn't like duty sex.
I was very surprised because we are coming from a context where just like if you want to keep your husband, cook for him, have sex with him, whether you feel like it or you don't feel like it, like basically just do it so he doesn't go out there and look for it somewhere else. So you just do it. You don't want to lose your husband. I mean, who wants to lose their husband? Right? So you just do it. And I didn't know personally until we had that conversation that sex for men is very intimate. And they know when you are faking. They know when you are just doing it out of obligation. And I didn't know that. I don't think many of us know how duty sex makes a man feel, because
It's rapey.
yeah, for them it's rapey, but they actually want to feel wanted. Like if we had this conversation and you were saying to me that you were feeling unwanted, you were feeling like you are not attractive to me, like you've done something wrong, like I don't find you attractive, I'm not interested in you anymore. And for me, I was like, you care about that?
Yeah.
I mean, I didn't know.
Absolutely.
I didn't know.
It's important. I think the general discussions I have with most men are very clear. Men want to be in a relationship with someone who wants them. It's important. Intimacy matters to men just the same. Not only that, the most men I've spoken to, and it's not that there are no women interested in you out there. There are women who absolutely show interest, but you're not interested in them.
Yeah.
The person you want to want you is the one you have.
Yeah.
And so it's a very demeaning, destructive feeling to leave a home in which you feel unwanted and to go out into the world where someone else seems to want you. You get that? That's difficult because it's a hard thing to reconcile. It's like, but it still feels like I'm unaccomplished. Where am I getting it wrong? You know, and I think that is a core part of the conversation. And because yes, immature young men like the Kama Sutra, the gyratings, the funny things, but most men I know who have matured are genuinely looking for an intimate relationship with their partner. They want their partner to love them, to look at them, to be excited about them, and all that stuff. And that all matters in the in the journey of that. So I do think that maybe men are misrepresented in the sexual conversations.
I think so. I think we need to have a new conversation. Maybe it's time to open up the floor.
Absolutely.
For new conversations then about that.
Yeah. So how do we develop sexual fluency then? How do we are seeing these problems. How do we step into sexual fluency?
Well, I think for one, it's discovery, right? And but because we have, and many of us Christians, we have rushed into we bought into the worldly. Sex is great, yeah, do it whenever you want and just do it with whoever you want, whenever you want and whatnot. And for some it has robbed them of that moment of, this is my person and we are about to go on this journey together.
Okay.
Nonetheless, it's never too late. But discovery is something that's deep. You know, it goes beyond the performances and the like. It's learning the person that you are with. It's I hate to say this word so much, discovering.
Yeah, absolutely.
Discovering their body, their needs, their likes, their dislikes. I don't like it when you shift it like this, you know, when we do it. I don't like the upside down cartwheels. I don't like that. But I do, let's try this. You understand? There's a very interesting word that's used in the Bible. Every time people come together, whether it's Adam and Eve or, you know, your Rachels and your Jacobs, how the word they use is new. Then so and so knew his wife. I think that's a phenomenal word to use, because it gives you the depth.
Yes, they discovered.
Yes, it's like they discovered each other. It's like this whole time I didn't know you, but at that very moment, I knew you. You know, I got close to you. I got
The transparency and
Yeah.
things. I think so. I think discovery is. I think we're gonna bring it up a lot in our conversations, because discovery is probably the most important part of our entire frame of thinking. It's so important to discover, to know who am I with and how does it work, and how do we, what makes you tick, what parts of your body, and unfortunately as well, maybe we can put this in there as well. The world is pushing us to discover ourselves through self-exploration a lot more than through exploring each other.
Yes.
And like I said earlier, surrendering my pleasure, my discovery to you is harder, because then it puts me out of my comfort zones. But self-pleasuring, which is masturbation and all that stuff, is a hectically taught principle in the world as the only way to discover your body. But we disagree with that. I think it's possible to say, hey, listen, I want to play with you. I want to know who you are, and I want to find out, what do you think about this? How do you feel when I do this? Am I, what do you like this or not? And what are you uncomfortable with? What are your limits? What are your expectations? What do you enjoy doing? And those conversations were actually very hard for us as well,
they were.
to say, what gets you going? And because I don't know, and having to know later to discover that, and say, hey, listen, okay, fine, I've kind of got my wife figured out. And we'll never
You'll
really...
never really feel.
Never.
That's the thing about discovery, is that it's a process. And as we change as people, because when you become a mother, it's a little different, when you get older and there's menopause and there's...
Your body changes as well.
My body changes. So then we discover new ways at that time. It's just continuous.
It's continuous.
You can never say.
And the worst thing is, I think now, now what we are learning is there's a lot we don't know, not only about sex, but there's a lot we didn't know about our own bodies.
Absolutely.
And again, and this is not because we didn't study this stuff in school. This is stuff that's now coming up like, whoa, okay. It's like when you go to school and you get your degree or your doctorate, whatever, and then you go into the field, and it's like you're learning all over again. It's like,
Again.
wait a minute, I thought I
It's like the theory and the practice.
it's completely different. And most of us learned about sexual intelligence and knowledge about sex in primary school. And now as adults, we don't remember half of the stuff we learned. People don't know what a clitoris is. They don't know G-spots and stuff like that. They don't know all that stuff.
I didn't even know what a clitoris looked like. Until
Exactly.
recently.
The whole scientific way, the understanding how it looks and interacting with that, and most people, and is particularly in the black in the black culture. Okay, so we have to genuinely recover a lot. We have to discover again. We have to study again. And part of our journey as a couple, as people, is to now start rediscovering
Yeah.
our sexuality as Christians, even. Like get an understanding of your own body.
Yeah.
Men especially, we were lied to. It's not just that one thing that can
What's
have
the one
sex.
thing?
I think
Oh.
it's just the one thing. And because men view it that way, our sexual vocabulary concerning our own bodies is very limited. And you then find in our 30s, in our 40s, in our 50s, some men don't even know their body at all as well. And so that's important. I think discovery should include an understanding of the anatomy
your own
as
body.
well. The anatomy as well. I think maybe let me just throw it in there and maybe you can just help me out. Since we've brought up that point, then it's imperative that we talk about detoxing unrealistic sexual expectations.
Absolutely.
What do we need to do to get rid of that? I think the first thing I would say before I hand over to you, Mabib, is what needs to happen. The first thing we have to do is to unlearn. We've learned so much nonsense. And I think that it starts from a very strange place of walking up to your partner and say, let's start afresh. Let's do away with everything we were told and things that, my guys, my dudes, my people know. Why don't we have a fresh conversation about this topic? And not just this topic, but every topic. And let's talk about this from your perspective. I think that's the starting point for breaking the cycle of unhealthy sexual exchanges. I genuinely think maybe before even we do discovery, let's just scrap everything we know. All the PhDs we have in sex from our previous
aunts and
and our previous relationships and everything, and then say, I don't know nothing, let's talk. I think that's hard.
Let's restart. It is a hard conversation, and I think it can bruise egos a little bit.
Absolutely.
Because you thought you were the best thing since sliced cheese,
The
and
master.
then you find,
Master.
this person does not even like it like that. Some people don't even, for example, some people don't even like foreplay, and you've just been doing this stuff to someone and they're just looking at you like, oh my God.
Absolutely.
Like, just get to the point. There's this thing that my friends and I used to call Shalendaben.
Okay.
Like, just like...
What is that?
Shalendaben.
What is that?
Basically, like, oh gosh, I don't know how to translate it. But like just get to the point. Like,
Okay.
get to the...
Okay.
Yeah, just get to the point.
Okay.
Basically. That's...
Wait, so this person doesn't need all the... Let's just get to business.
Yeah, let's just get to it, man.
All right.
Like, let's just get... Like,
Wait, women?
Yeah, some women are not about it either.
Yeah, I guess I could understand
Yeah.
that. Yeah, I guess.
Some people find it irritating. I don't know. So...
Okay.
Yeah.
It's interesting. Okay, but that's actually that's an incredible idea. I think that helps to actually say, but okay, babe. Before we go far, as the two of us, so if we were to apply that for men, what happens? And I think this is a question that a person could have. What happens if a man doesn't like the foreplay and the woman does? Then they're gonna have to work out.
No, but I'm not saying.
Because I mean, if a woman doesn't, it may not be a big deal, because
Yeah.
men are generally not expected to want foreplay, right? But it could be interesting.
So if the man doesn't like foreplay done to him, or he just doesn't believe in because there's men who don't.
He wants to get straight to the business.
There's men. I don't want to say which men from which tribe.
Wow, we all know who you're taking jabs at. Okay,
I'm not gonna say men from which tribe. But there's certain men who just think it's absolutely disgusting to just go down on a woman's vagina with your mouth.
Okay.
You know.
Wait, is that pastor, that Nigerian pastor that likes? I've bumped into a lot of those on TikTok.
I'm not talking about Nigeria.
This is Zulus. You're talking about Zulu men,
I'm
aren't
just saying.
you?
I'm just saying there's people from a certain tribe. Guys, I love Zulus. Ngumzulu nam. I love Zulus.
No, I hear you. I think apart from the generalization of that, which is funny, we laugh, we joke, we make these jokes. We should hear some Shona stuff in there. But apart from all of that, in together, that again is part of the generalization
It's definitely
of that. To say, before we make a conclusion, converse. If you both don't agree on doing something in your marriage, it's perfectly fine.
Yeah.
If you both don't want to have foreplay, don't do it. If you both think it's imperative, then do it. But do what works for you. The problem is, I mean, in all our conversations today, the problem is if you're on the same page, great. But if you're not, there's a problem.
A few moments later.
Hey everybody, okay, so we are back. We had another unexpected guest on our show, and we're shooting at home today, and someone decided to join us and just cry. So she wants to be part of the conversation. But we're going to continue from where we were. We were talking about detoxing, and we were talking about the necessity of purging yourself as a couple, purging yourself from the experiences and the things that you have done. Our guest Ahilia is just, she's happy to be part of it. She's enjoying herself. All right, so from detoxing, what else should we do in building sexual fluency?
Communicate.
Okay.
We should definitely communicate. If you don't like something, communicate it. If you want to try something, communicate it. And you should create an environment where someone can actually be able to let you know when something is not okay. So we should communicate fearlessly, without fear of judgment from your partner, and maybe what they might say, what they might do, or how they might look at you, as well as communicating clearly. Be very specific about what it is that you need from them, and what you don't, what you like, what you don't like. And I'd say be practical as well. Whatever you communicate has to be doable. I mean, you don't want to
impossible things.
Yeah, you don't want things that are impossible.
Impossible expectations.
Yes.
Yeah.
You don't want to impose impossible things on the person as well. And you have to also be very, very patient.
Yeah.
Understanding that we are coming from two different ways of thinking and of...
We are two different people.
We are two different people, yes. And that sometimes some people are a little bit shy sometimes, you know what I mean? So you have to be able to be patient with your partner, and just know that sometimes it might take them a little longer to get to the place where you guys want to go. But as long as you're trying together, it should be fine.
It is well. As long as there's effort and we are unified in our pursuit of that, then it is fine. Yeah. I want to highlight a little bit of what you said about communicating clearly. I think we joke about that quite a lot, that we can't read minds.
Absolutely.
So there has to be absolute clarity concerning what exactly you are saying and how do I actually do that.
Yeah.
What are the steps? How do we get there? How do I know when you get there? So that both of us sort of like find a way to say, oh, okay, cool, we've arrived. It's working for us now. You can say it's working for you, and I can do the same. But my point also to add would be reciprocation. The willingness to say, I've heard you, you've communicated, I'm going to act on it to this level. I'm going to do as you said, up to this level.
Yeah.
And, reciprocation means being able not to take offense. It means to actually do what has been spoken and discussed. It means, making a decision not to resolve certain things in the bedroom, but at a relationship level. So reciprocation is actually a very important part of the process of, because some people do talk. I mean, we're having that TikTok conversation, and some people do talk about where they are in their relationship. But the problem is, if it's not done well, then even if it falls on deaf ears and people don't act, if I've communicated consistently, but I still don't feel heard, or I still don't think I'm understood, then it doesn't help. So I think there has to be a willingness on both parties to say, I'm gonna hear you and I'm gonna do. It's essentially the word of God. What's the point of hearing it and accumulating it so much and not actually doing anything about the word that you've received? So hearing and doing is important.
And I think as well, it's very important to work with what you have.
Okay.
Part of sexual intelligence is working with what you have and understanding a situation or the situation or season that you are in at that time. For example, if you have children, it's not going to be the same. I mean, you can't just have spontaneous on the table, in the kitchen type of things.
These
when
people
there's
block.
kids around.
They block.
When there's kids around. And as well as time, our time, our time,
We're there.
our time at some.
Yeah, we're trying to talk. Okay. So my baby. Go ahead.
Yeah, so our time becomes a little bit of a problem, especially with our jobs. We are trying to get life going, so we need to compromise on that. You might like in the evening and someone else in the morning or whatever, but you have to kind of change it around and just work with it. And then there's people who have self-esteem problems. I mean, if your partner has self-esteem problems, you also have to be able to be patient with them.
Yeah.
You have to be able to work with them and understand where they're at that time. Maybe build up their confidence. I mean, obviously it's not up to you to build up somebody's confidence. It's inside work, but I mean, you can always just plant, just water the flower a little bit. It helps. Also when it comes from someone else. And age. We age.
Yeah.
We are all getting older, and sometimes you can't do acrobatics at some point.
Yeah.
And
There's a time and
it
place
is what
for
it
them.
is. Yeah, it is what it is. So just work with what you have.
I think I really like that, because I think one of the reasons why we struggle to achieve happiness in relationships, sexually particularly, is because there's just this overwhelming expectation of unrealistic things. We are trying to achieve things that are not even realistic in the scope of what we want to do. We, like you're saying, you're talking to a 50-year-old person who still wants to do 12-year-old things, and they want to run up and down. You don't have that energy, you don't have that strength. You're not a child anymore, you're not a teenager. And so the reality then is to say, at the level of our relationship and where we are right now, how do we make it work at our capacity? Yes, there could have been certain things we could have done in our 20s, but we are now approaching our 40s. So what can we now do? How can we do this in our 40s? and how can we work it out with our weight, you know, because if you are obviously heavy but you want to romance, you want someone to pick you up and walk to the bedroom with you, rose petals, it may not be practical. It may not be practical. So I think that's actually very important in working out then issues around sexual fluency and making that work. But I don't know if there's anything maybe you want to add to this conversation. I think because of this guest, our surprise guest speaker today, we will stop here for tonight.
Yeah, we'll have to stop here.
And we'll share with you guys. We're excited to have more deeper conversations with you. I think we'll stay in the studio far and far away from the squad, so we can actually share a lot more with you guys about what we've been conversating about and talking about in our house, the things we're exchanging. I think it's quite an incredible conversation to have. For those of you that need a recap of sort, we really believe that truly discovering what God has for you in your marriage through the ministry of sex, and we say it's a ministry because it is, right? Through the ministry of sex, this is discovered through the journey of discovering with each other, working through that process with each other. It takes years to build fluency. And so for someone out there who may be under pressure to learn, practice makes perfect. It doesn't make perfect. It's going to cause a mess in your life. And a lot of people are in messy relationships because of experiences that they've had with other people. And a lot of people I know, myself included, regret certain sexual experiences we had. And I'm speaking as a man, particularly right now as a man, that there were certain experiences that I had in my life building up to this moment where I'm now realizing I wish I had just waited and had the pleasure of going through that experience only in the marriage, as opposed to outside of it, which is rare. Yes, it's rare for most men to say that, but there's so much misinformation that we bring in, where you begin to discover this person that you're with, and there's just a lot of baggage, and most of our previous relationships give us baggage more than anything else. And so that's our experience, that's our journey, that's our story. This is from me and my absolutely beautiful, gorgeous wife. My okay, we'll use the other words later, but thank you so much for being with us today and spending time with us, and have being part of our conversations. We would love to hear your thoughts, comments, questions, whether you're on TikTok or you are on YouTube. Send us as many of those as you have, and we will be so happy to engage with you and share with you about them. God bless you.